Ravens flock. I don't know what to make of this. This game was crazy. The only thing I can say right now is Lamar Jackson is that guy. Lamar Jackson is him. He is the MVP through 3 games this season. I know it constantly fluctuates from week to week, and who knows? This may change. Maybe someone is going to throw 8 touchdown passes later on today, or maybe even tomorrow night on Monday Night Football. Who knows? Maybe Daniel Jones throws like 8 or 10 touchdowns. I don't know. But as of right now, we'll see if this holds. But as of right now, Lamar Jackson, through 3 weeks of football, is leading the league in both touchdown passes and passer rating. He becomes the first quarterback in NFL history to have back-to-back games of 3+ passing touchdowns and 100+ rushing yards. That is insane. The dude is just out here playing different, man. 4 touchdown passes today, over 100 yards rushing, and the rushing touchdown as well. So we had a Jackson 5 appearance finally. This dude is playing out of his mind. This is MVP Lamar. This right here is MVP Lamar. In fact, he's off to a better start this year than he was in his MVP year. In his MVP year, through 3 games, he had 8 total touchdowns. Through 3 games of this 2022 NFL season, Lamar has a total of 12 touchdowns. Oh my God. Lamar Jackson's on fire. He's killing it. We honestly should be 3-0 right now, but we know what happened against the Dolphins. Either way, in each of those games, Lamar Jackson has played well. He's responded to anything they've thrown at him. Against the blitz, he's been the best quarterback. His performance has been outstanding. 6 of his 10 passing touchdowns have happened while he was blitzed. They said he couldn't handle the blitz. He comes out here and performs the best under pressure. This is what Lamar Jackson is doing, folks. This is crazy. This is insanity. The guy is the MVP through 3 games, and we'll see if he can keep this up. There's a lot of great performances so far. Obviously, Jalen Hurts went up against the Commanders. He cooked them. He's looking like an MVP candidate. By the way, I will be talking about that, Washington. I'm going to talk about that after this game. But Jalen Hurts is looking like an MVP. Obviously, Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes, they're also in the MVP conversation. There's a lot of people in the MVP conversation. But through 3 games, Lamar Jackson he's been insane. And I can't believe what I'm witnessing here, man. This is what makes Lamar Jackson so great, man. He's just, that guy is something different. He's one of one. He's something different. To be able to do what he's doing in the passing game and still find a way to give you 100 rushing yards and a touchdown, how does he do it? It's crazy. It's crazy. But let me stop gushing about Lamar right now. Let me actually talk about the game, because this game was wild. So, Baltimore went to New England to take on the Patriots. Heading into this game, we were 0-6 during the regular season. Now, of course, we won a couple playoff games there. In the playoffs, we know about that. I'm just saying we won in Foxborough before. We won when it mattered. But in the regular season, we did not win that. The last time we were there was with Lamar during 2020. He basically played in the monsoon. That was terrible weather conditions, and we just couldn't get anything going. So we were heading into this game looking to get our first regular season win in Foxborough. And how did they perform? Well, it was a mixed bag. Let's speak on the positives. Lamar Jackson was killing it. Besides 1 interception, Lamar Jackson was on point throwing the football. A lot of there was a bunch of passes that were either drops or he just had to throw it a bounce because he was constantly dealing with pressure. That's how people have chosen to attack Lamar this year. Send so much pressure and force him to make a decision. And he's responded well. But because of the pressure he's seeing, not to mention the offensive line collapsing a lot and us dealing with injuries there and all this other stuff, he's kind of having to get the ball out. So there was a lot of passes that he just had to throw out of bounds. But, for the most part, he was on target. He was hitting his guys. He was connecting with Mark Andrews. Him and Mark Andrews connected for the first 2 touchdowns of the game. They were on point. Loved what I saw from Mark Andrews. That's why he's a top tight end. That's why he's top 3. One of the best tight ends in the game, if not the best. The guy was on it. Another person we got to give credit for, Devin Duvernay. He caught a touchdown. He's scored at least 1 touchdown in each of the first 3 games this season. So Devin Duvernay's building on that consistency. You like to see that. This was really a tight end day because you had 2 touchdown catches from Mark Andrews, and then Josh Oliver, he got his first touchdown catch, and then obviously Duvernay got the 4 touchdown pass from Lamar. So it was really mostly a tight end day, but Duvernay still got himself involved. And of course, Duvernay had some nice runs in the kick return game. He is an all-pro returner, so we expect that from him. He might actually be the best returner in the game right now. If you just look at it, based on all the other returners, he's probably the best in the game. But Devin Duvernay, there was some nice moments there. We also saw some nice runs. Now, J.K. Dobbins did play in this game. He got his first start. And I think J.K. Dobbins, he had some nice moments where he was picking up some good yardages. He didn't break off a big run, which, again, I didn't expect him to. He's just getting back. But he had some nice moments. So that's what you like to see. Obviously, the more touches he gets, the more he gets, adjusted back to playing NFL football, the better he's going to be. As for Justice Hill, that man came out here, and he made up for it. I believe he had over 60, I think he had 60 to 65 rushing yards today. He had a huge game. Like, he had this huge run for 35 yards. It was a 35-yard burst by him. Easily the best run we've seen from this guy. I mean, this was a great performance by him. Last week, you had a lot of fans calling him out because there was clear film of this guy having an opportunity to just take it. There's a gaping hole that was created by the blocking. He had that. He could have just taken it and probably hit his head on the goalpost. He didn't take it. Instead, he went out of bounds. This week, when opportunities were there, he took it. His run, he had a great run where he's running to his right, and there's nothing there, and he starts cutting back to the left and just takes off, and it was beautiful. So, Justice Hill, he made up for last week. He showed up this week. You got to love that. I think when it comes to the offensive line, they had moments of struggles, but they also had some nice moments where they held up. So you got to like that. Other than that, for the most part, it wasn't really a huge game for the receivers. Devin Duvernay had that touchdown pass, but it wasn't a huge game. Rashad Bateman, he had a chance to get a potential touchdown right there, but it went off his fingertips. He had his arm stretched out, just couldn't make the catch. It was unfortunate. That was on the 3rd down play in the second half. He also had a nice grab by Lamar. He put it on the money. He's rolling to his left, threw it to Rashad Bateman. It was a nice grab. Unfortunately, as he grabbed it, he turns, and there's defenders there, and they force him to fumble the football. So he catches it, makes a football move, fumbles the football. Patriots recover the ball. That was not good for Rashad Bateman. And, he did have a nice catch later on when he had another opportunity. He caught it for the first down, and he made a move. He made like 2 moves and started taking up, so he gained huge yards on that one. Overall, I mean, other than that, there was not much to say from Rashad Bateman. I don't think we saw anything from Demarcus Robinson, and other than that, yeah, there was not really much to say about the receiving corps. Today was about the tight ends. But, yeah, other than that, credit to Lamar for his greatness and what he did. After throwing that pick, he proceeds to have 4 total touchdowns to end the game. It's crazy. It's crazy. Lamar Jackson is that guy. Fantastic performance by him. On the defensive side, the positives that were there, turnovers. In the 4th quarter of the Dolphins game, they couldn't generate a turnover. They couldn't make stops. They couldn't do anything right. They had an opportunity to get a pick, and Marcus Williams unfortunately dropped it. Ultimately, next play happens. Tyreek Hill, touchdown, and things just start looking really bad. So last week, they weren't able to make plays, and they weren't forcing turnovers. This week, in the 4th quarter, they made plays. Oh, my God, did they make plays. They finished the game with 4 total turnovers, but they had 3 of those 4 turnovers in the 4th quarter. You had a Marlon Humphrey interception in the end zone. You had the rookie, Kyle Hamilton, forcing the fumble, which was needed because at that time, the Patriots were moving and they had a chance to potentially take the lead. So Kyle Hamilton knocks the ball out and Marcus Peters recovers. So fantastic play. That is a huge bounce back for Kyle Hamilton, who gave up a big play in week 2. He had a rough performance in week 2 against the Dolphins. He bounces back this week, makes a huge play forces a turnover. It gets recovered by Marcus Peters. That's what you love to see. And of course, to end the game, because Marcus Peters is MP Juice, man, he is the ball hawk. He is the turnover creator. You knew Marcus Peters, it was not going to take him that long before he got himself an interception. To pretty much ice the game, he picked off Mac Jones, and that was it right there. So 3 turnovers in the fourth quarter, 4 in total. Ravens defense showing up and forcing turnovers when it was needed in crucial situations. That's what you like to see. That is definitely the positive. Other than that, they started getting they got a sack. They had 2 sacks in this game, 2 or 3 sacks on Mac Jones. One happened early on. It was by Patrick Queen, and then the other 2, or another 1 or 2 happened in the fourth quarter on that final drive that Mac Jones ended up throwing that pick. By the way, Mac Jones did get injured. I hope it's nothing severe. Best of luck to Mac Jones. My prayers up for you, bro. I hope the injury is not severe. I hope it's not long term. I hope you're not about to miss severe time. I hope it's not that bad. I hope it's not a season-ending injury. Wishing the best for you. He did get injured on the play. He threw the pick to Marcus Peters to pretty much end the game. So I hope Mac Jones is okay. They'll probably reevaluate him and see how severe that injury is. But I'm hoping the best for Mac Jones, and hopefully he'll be fine. But yeah. 3 turnovers in the fourth quarter, 4 turnovers in total. The first pick happened by Josh Bynes. Great pick by him. But yeah, 4 total turnovers. Defense forced turnovers, and that's what you want to see. That is fantastic by them. So other than that, yeah, that was the positives. We were able to get the win thanks to these factors. Now let's talk about the negative. As I already mentioned before, the Lamar Jackson interception, it seemed like he was going to Duvernay, but I don't know if him and Duvernay were on the right sync with that play because, when you look at it, the ball was either underthrown or Duvernay went too deep in the route. Either way, it was some sort of miscommunication. It led to a bad pick by Lamar, and yeah, that was just really bad there. Another thing was at times, I don't know, we were just leaving plays on the table. There were times where they were trying to pass the ball in situations where they should at least attempt to run because it's like they're just going out there, pass. And it's like, start mixing it up with the runs. I did say I want the pass to dictate the running game, and I stick by that until we can get this running game to where we want it to be. But that doesn't mean you should just stop running in totality. No, at least attempt to run, and they started to do so, and they were effective in moments where they were running the football. So that's great to see. But yeah, other than that, there's not much to really look at offensively where you can sit back and say it was terrible. The offensive line struggled at times. You lost Patrick McCarry. Morgan Moses started dealing with some injuries. So yeah, that's not really a negative in terms of performance. That's a negative in terms of just having guys get hurt. Yeah, McCarry got taken out of this game due to injury. Michael Pierce got taken out of this game due to injury. Justin Houston got taken out of the game due to injury. So those aren't negatives in terms of bad performance. That's negative in terms of losing players. So that's really the bad thing there. But yeah, offensively, besides the Lamar Jackson picks and moments where we're just, dropping passes and the fumble, obviously, by Rashad Bateman, those are the only few negatives from the offense. But they put up 37 points of offense, so they did fantastic today. And the play calling by Greg Roman, there were moments where you're looking at and saying Greg Roman's play calling could be a bit better, but that's just nitpicking. At the end of the day, that's just nitpicking. I think Greg Roman called a good game overall. Some of it obviously is just Lamar Jackson being who he is and just creating plays, but other times it is Greg Roman coming up with some good play calling. So I think this is another week where we don't really have to come after Greg Roman. Your offense put up 37 points, so this is not another week where anyone should come after Greg Roman. You can point out some of the things where he was bad at or some of the things where he could have been better, but offensive coordinator is not going to be perfect every week. I'm going to give the man credit where it's due. I think he called a good game. I may go back and look at the film and see some of the calls that I feel I could improve, but at that point, it feels like those are areas that, I'm kind of nitpicking. I just feel like Greg Roman this week, I don't have any problems with his play calling. There were some issues there, but I think you get 37 points of offense. You did well enough to win the game. I give the man his credit. He called a good game overall. There were some hiccups, but he called a good game overall. Credit to Greg Roman. Defensively, negative side. I'm glad they got the picks. I'm glad they got 4 turnovers, but we can't expect them to get 4 turnovers every single week. I would love for that to be the case. I would love for this Ravens defense to give you 4 or 5 turnovers a game, but that's just not realistically going to happen. And when you take out the turnovers, you see there are still some glaring issues here. Number one, these guys cannot get to the quarterback. Now, in this game, I feel like it's tough to say that, especially with Justin Houston going out. It's like, well, you lost one of your pass rushers. What are you going to do? So that makes it a little bit difficult to, assess, but they really couldn't get to they really couldn't get to Mac Jones for much of this game. And it was very tough. That's what I just want to say. It was very tough to see that. So they're still struggling with the pass rush. That's something that needs to be addressed. That's still a negative. They couldn't really get to the quarterback. Secondly, the tackling was poor at times here. Besides a couple great plays, but that was really Marlon Humphrey who was just on it. Marlon Humphrey had two great plays. The tackle where he read the play, read exactly where Mac Jones was going to throw the football on fourth down, comes in, makes a tackle, turnover on downs. And of course, the second great play is the interception in the end zone. But other than that, yeah, it's just like this team can't really get to the quarterback. The tackling is somewhat of an issue. I feel like that's something they need to continue to improve on. That's something the coaching staff is going to need to address because there are times where they're just failing to make tackles. And of course, coverage isn't the best because we made Devontae Parker look like the best receiver in football. Once again, it's another week where we're making a legit receiver just look like a god. So he had over 150 yards receiving. That's unacceptable. You have to be better in stopping these receivers. We gave up a lot of yards in some moments, and we just got to be better at that. The positives in that is them getting the turnovers, but the negative is we're still having some issues that we have to work out. Best part is it's week 3. You're still going to have guys that come back. The guys that got injured in this game will return. It's nothing severe, so that is a good thing. No season-ending injuries here, so that's great. Knock on wood for these guys being safe and being healthy for the season. You just hope that, but yeah, there were just some negatives with the way the defense is playing, and that is a concern because Mac Jones isn't an elite quarterback, and you know that. You know who's an elite quarterback? You know who's a great quarterback? Josh Allen. Now, I know Josh Allen did not play great against the Dolphins, and they lost, and I think they said he threw the ball 63 times, which is insane. 63 pass attempts? Really? They really can't run the football? Is it that bad in Buffalo? My God, there's no reason any quarterback should be throwing the ball 63 times. That's crazy, Buffalo. Absolute insanity. But yeah, Josh Allen is still one of the best young quarterbacks in the game. And with the way our defense is played and how they've handled top guys, I'm interested to see how they're going to deal with Davis and especially Stephon Diggs, but we'll have to find out. That's Josh Allen. I hope they're ready for the test. But, with these glaring issues that we've seen throughout the first 3 weeks, especially week 2 and week 3, we hope they clean it up, but that could be very well exposed, especially if you have a rookie. Like if you have Armour Davis or you have Pepe that's lined up against Stephon Diggs, it's over. Or if he's lined up against Davis, it's over. If he's lined up for a play, it's over, and that's a problem. But, yeah, there are some issues with the defense, in terms of some things that can be cleaned up coaching-wise, in terms of just execution and just being on the same page. There's some issues there, and it's showcased in this game because we were making Mac Jones at times, legitimately, we were making Mac Jones look like he's a legit mobile quarterback. Because the way he was just taking off and rushing the football, when he was just taking off and picking up first downs with his legs, that was crazy. He had a rushing touchdown too. This guy was just extending plays with his legs, and we were allowing that to happen. If we're letting Mac Jones do that, imagine what Josh Allen's going to do. We'll talk about that when the time comes this week. But, yeah, there are some things we got to clean up. Hopefully we'll be able to clean it up because that Bills game next week is going to be chaotic, and we need to be prepared. So, yeah, that's pretty much the negatives. I mean, offensively, it was just the 2 turnovers, honestly. The Lamar pick, the Bateman fumble, and then at times the offensive line was shaky. Play calling, honestly, I can't even say that's a negative. So I legit don't think the play calling is negative. Other than that, I just think offensive line and the 2 turnovers pretty much was the entire negative of the offense today. But they put up 37 points, and they held up for the most part, so that's great there. And then negatively for the Ravens defense, it was just the same issues we've seen, not being able to get to the quarterback, struggling to make tackles at times, struggling in coverage at times. That's especially when it comes with our rookies, but again, that's expected when you have rookies out there. But yeah, I think overall the Ravens defense showed up when they needed to. They weren't perfect, they weren't great, but when they needed to make turnovers, they forced them. They created those turnovers, and it really helped. And when we needed to close the game, we allowed Lamar Jackson to do what he does, him being the best player on the team, him being the MVP guy, him being one of the best young quarterbacks in the game. We just put the ball in his hands and let him go to work, and he closed the game for us with that rushing touchdown. So overall, it was a very, 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 very tough game to watch because, Lamar Jackson was cooking, but we were still allowing plays to happen. The way the defense played to end the first half was terrible. The Patriots had so little time left, and yes, they have timeouts, but there's no reason you should allow Mac Jones to get into field goal range when there's under 30 seconds left to go in the first half. That was bad. It should have been a 14-10 game to go into halftime. We made it a 14-13 game, and that was bad on us. Then we give up a touchdown on the opening drive, and we have to let Lamar and the offense go out there and bail us out. But yeah, defense forced turnovers in the fourth quarter. Hopefully they'll improve and fix up some of the issues they're having with the tackling and some issues they may be having at times with the coverage downfield. But other than that, there's not much really to say here because the Ravens were able to get the 37-26 win. They were able to get that victory in New England and get the first regular season win they've ever had at Foxborough. So that's cool. But we'll see what happens next week. Right now we're 2-1. There's a lot of teams that are looking to be 2-1, or are 2-1 right now. I think at this point the Eagles won their game; they're 3-0. The Dolphins won their game; they're 3-0. Bucks are playing the Packers. Packers are up though, so we'll see what happens. Giants play the Cowboys, and they're 2-0, so we'll see how long that lasts. But I don't think it's gonna take long before each of those undefeated teams suffer their first loss. I don't think it's going to be a situation like last season where you have the Cardinals that started off like 8-0 or something like that. Nah, I don't think it's going to be like that. I think very early teams are going to suffer their first losses. You know, it feels like that's going to be the case. But it is what it is. We'll see what happens. Anyway, with that being said, that is all I've got. I appreciate you guys. Ravens getting the victory. We should be 3-0, but we're 2-1. We're heading back home to take on the Bills next week. 1 o'clock. Should be a primetime game, but it is what it is. We'll see what happens then. With that being said, that is all I've got, and I'm out of here, man. Peace.